What's up, y'all? What's good? Welcome to the What Up Doe Show. It's your boy Dame D, and I am back with another one. Today is Freestyle Friday. I'm gonna wait for a few people to join in before we start tonight's conversation. I'm waiting on a few of my guests to join us. We got a few people I invited to come on in, but for now, I'm gonna check my audio and video to make sure you guys can hear me clearly. So I want to say what up, Doe, to everybody out there on YouTube. What up, Doe, to everybody out there on Facebook and Instagram. So yeah, I'm double checking to make sure that I can be heard. And look, your boy is closing down. We are less than, I believe, 70 subscribers away from hitting that 1K. So I need for everybody on Facebook to come on over to YouTube, hit that subscribe button, then you can go back to doing what you were doing over there on Facebook. And I want to thank everybody who has hit that subscribe button thus far. Your boy is knocking on the door. Like I said again, we are less than 70 subscribers away from 1K. Hopefully everybody's having a great weekend, man. Most of us are going on a 3-day weekend, 4th of July weekend. So hopefully everybody is enjoying their Friday. And let me make sure that I can be heard. Hopefully everybody is enjoying their Friday. Let me make sure that I can be heard. Everybody is enjoying their Friday. So we clear over here. Why is everything looking fuzzy? Everybody enjoying their Friday. Okay, so hopefully everything is clear over there. All right, so we can be heard. So let me go in and turn that off. So what's good? What's good, everybody? What's good? Hopefully everybody's having a great Friday today. The 4th of July is tomorrow. So we're gonna just have a few conversations. We're gonna talk about Independence Day and what it means to, Black America. But I'm gonna wait for my a few of my guests to come in, and I'm gonna wait for a few more of you people to join in on the conversation. The comment section is open. I definitely want you guys to interact with us. Hit that hit that subscribe button as you come in. The comment section is definitely open. But let me make sure everything is clear, because on that picture that I just saw, everything didn't look clear. But yeah, we look clear over here. So yes, the comment section is definitely open, you guys. So, like I said, I'm waiting on a few of my guests to come in. I sent out a few invites. We're going to be just discussing a few things today. Independence Day. And what it means to Black Americans. And then we're going to talk about a few other topics that that I got on deck, that I did shorts throughout this upcoming week too. We're going to talk about the hangings that was done to the young lady on June 18th, that week that she went down to Florida. We'll talk about that for a little bit. And another young man just was found hanging not too long ago. So like I said, I'm waiting on a few of my guests to come on in, and then we're gonna start tonight's conversation. Yes, it's been a hot scorcher one all week, man. This rain finally, we needed this rain, was a must. It came in right on time to cool everything down. So hopefully it'll be cool for the rest of the week. We have a great weekend. So how's everybody Friday going thus far? I'm waiting on Big Hen to come in and join us before we start the conversation up. I sent a few invites out to DJ Shiny D. Sent one out to my homeboy Joe. So I'm just waiting on a few others to join me before we start tonight's conversation. And your boy, like I said again, I need for you guys to hit that subscribe button. We are less than 70 subscriptions away from hitting that 1K. Cannot do it without you guys hitting that button. So please hit that button, hit that subscribe button for your boy. And again, I want to thank everyone who has been hitting that subscribe button thus far. It's a goal that we set out, and we are knocking on the door. We right there. Yep. So the comment section is open, man. I'm just trying to buy a little time until everybody comes in, until we get a nice little audience before I start the conversation up. Yep. So what do y'all think about all these NBA trades that's been going on, man, throughout the week? It's some exciting trades, man, but it looked like my Pistons really didn't make too many great moves this off season. But hopefully the moves that we made, we'll be able to pick up and build from there. I did not like seeing I believe Isaiah, not Isaiah, but I forget our power forward, the guy with the dreads. It'll come to me in a second, but I did not like that trade that we let him go. I thought he was a good player. I thought we should have held on to him. Yeah, man, we got some good fights coming up tomorrow. And I'm probably going to do a live broadcast with that. You got Abdullah Mason. He's getting ready to fight. A pretty decent, a great fighter in Albert Bell, Prince Albert Bell. So that's going to be a pretty good fight tomorrow. We're going to be entertained with that. Like I said, I'll probably do live coverage, do play-by-play commentation on that. Play-by-play commentary on that, I should say. Yep. So that should be a good fight, man. I hope Albert Bell can pull it out. He's a Toledoan. You got know a lot of people from Toledo. Got a lot of my coworkers work from Toledo. So a lot of Toledoans is going to be going for your boy Prince Albert Bell tomorrow. That should be a really good fight. But he's going to have to be on his A game tomorrow to be able to pull that fight out. Because Abdullah Mason is a pretty good fighter, man. And not saying that Albert Bell is not a great fighter, but Abdullah Mason is a young and upcoming fighter. He's hungry, and Albert Bell, man, he's been in the game for a little bit. He's 33 years old. This is his biggest chance thus far. His biggest payday. He's fighting for a world title. So big ups to him. So that should be a good fight. But let me send a few more of my invites back out to people. Send one back out to Big Ken. So the comment section is open. If you guys got anything that on your mind that you want to talk about, put it in there. Let's conversate about it. We're going to be talking about Independence Day and what it means to Black Americans. And pretty much it's a lot of contradictions, in this whole 4th of July thing. That we're going to talk about. Okay, so I sent out my invites, and like I said, I'm just waiting on a few other people to come in. Let me go over here to Facebook and see who's all over here watching. What's good, everybody over there on Facebook? Yeah, I got a few people you guys watching. Look, I need everybody that's over there on Facebook. Please come over here on YouTube, hit that subscribe button, and then you can come back over on Facebook. Your boy is less than 73 subscribers away from 1K, and it's important that I don't know what's going on with my audio. I mean, not my audio, but my video. That looks horrible. I don't know what's going on with my. I may have to come back in, you guys, because it looks like my video is horrible. Hold on, let me cut this. Yeah, I may have to end this. I got to see what's going on because this looks. I may have to come back in, you guys, because it looks like my video is horrible. Hold on. See, but on this end, it looks excellent. Yeah, I don't know what. Yeah, I may have to end this. I got to. Okay, yeah, that's not looking good at all. My video is horrible. Hold on. See, but on this end, it looks excellent. My bad, you guys. I'm just trying to figure out. Okay, we got Big Ken coming. I'm just trying to figure out why my Big Ken.
What up, though?
Hello. What up, big dog?
What up, though?
Trying to figure out where my audio messing up.
Man, I think it's the weather or something, because I tried to come in a little while ago, too.
Yeah, because I'm clear over here. Yeah, let me see. Let me reset this. Okay, it's clear right there. I'm gonna reset this. Hold on, give me 1 second, Big Ken. That's focus right there. Okay, what up, though? We should be good now. Hold on. All right, hold on here, Big Ken. I'm just trying to see what's going on with this. Hold on. I'm gonna just have to keep that camera going. I don't know what the deal is with that, but okay, program. There we go. All right, so hopefully everything is clear now. I'm just trying to work out these few technical difficulties. I don't know if it's the weather or what's going on, but hopefully we are good. So when you come back in, tell me, Big Ken, is my picture clear? Can you see me good? Because I was looking fuzzy. It looked like we're good now. I was looking fuzzy earlier, but it looked like everything is clear. Do I look like does it look clear? Because if it's not clear, let me look at a different one too. I might have to and I apologize, everybody. I'm just trying to make sure everything is clear. So give me 1 second, you guys. Trying to make sure everybody can see me clear and everything is clear. Okay, so I think we're good, big dog.
Oh yeah.
Okay, we're going to introduce yourself to the show. We can go ahead and get everything started. I hope everybody can see me clear.
Speaking in from the 313. What up, though?
What up, though? What up, though? I want to welcome you to the show again, big dog. You know, great having you on a Freestyle Friday tonight. Tonight, man, we're gonna be you know how we do it on Freestyle Friday. We have multiple conversations, multiple topics that we talk about. Tonight we're gonna be talking about Independence Day, and what it means to Black America. You know, I'm gonna go ahead and let you start off with the conversation, Big Ken. But you know, and I'll read off a few things that I wrote down too. You know, once you come back and sit down. You know, Independence Day celebrates the adoption of the Declaration of the Independence of July 4th. You know, while those words and declarations were declared that all men were created equal, you know, at that point when Britain when they pretty much broke part from Britain and you know, came here and declared, you know, Independence Day over here, you know, and I believe, what year was that, Big Ken? I believe it's and I don't want to, I had everything written down. Let me go back to my other stats. Give me 1 second, you guys.
Trying to get my.
But yeah, man, it's a lot of contradiction, you know, in this whole Independence Day, man. You know, the Declaration of Independence was on July the 4th, 1776. You know, and at that time, I believe that was almost 100 years, you know, that they were declaring their Independence Day, you know, but you still had hundreds of thousands of Black Americans that still were enslaved. Give me your thoughts and your opinion on that conversation, on that topic right there alone, Big Ken. You know, why most of white America was celebrating their independence and their freedom, you know, from breaking away from I believe it was Britain. You know, you still had, like I said, tens of thousands of, you know, African Americans that were still enslaved here in the U.S. during that time.
Yeah, the independence that they celebrate is not the independence that we celebrate. It was independence for them because we were still in slavery. So it came years later for us, a lot longer later for us. So
yeah, you know,
you
I just want to talk
you do
about, man,
your.
and this is what we do over here on the What Up Though show. You know, we talk about the injustice, you know, of all people, you know, right? And today we're just talking about the injustice of, you know, of Black America, you know, those that were enslaved during this so-called independence, the 4th of July independence, you know. So what do Black Americans really have to celebrate, you know, on the 4th of July, you know, because that's, like I said, you know, in the beginning of this, man, you know, we still have tens of thousands of people that were enslaved at that time. You know, so just give me your thoughts and your opinion on that, man. How could you know, how could our people possibly, you know, want to celebrate or participate in a day like this?
I mean, we celebrate because our slave masters, we were still enslaved, so we celebrate what they slave. I mean, we celebrate what they celebrate. Excuse me. And I can't make it up in no other words. than that because we were still slaves. So anything that we was happy about, it was because our masters was happy about it. And that's really as far as it go for us. Independence came for us once they freed us. And then we still suffering from trying to be free from the things that that they put upon us close to 500 years ago. So you know, I want to hear what other people got to say about how they feel about what Independence Day means to Black people and how far we've come from Independence Day and what it means to other races.
Right. Well, you know, and one thing that we can celebrate, you know, that we can say that we've had a milestone since being free. That one thing that we can celebrate Independence Day is the end of slavery. You know, voting rights, civil rights. You know, legislation and things like that. You know, so you know, we do have those things to celebrate. You know about, but you know, I just like to point out the contradictions. You know,
Right.
you know that with this whole 4th of July, and that you know that most of our people think that
But you know,
you know
we
this is
we
a
just
holiday
found
that
out
we really should celebrate when it's not.
yeah, we just found out about
Go ahead.
Juneteenth. So, you know, the slaves that thought they was free but wasn't freed until years later.
Yeah, a few years later, you know, 1865, and I believe that was signed into law in 1863, I believe. You know, so man, it's a lot of stuff that you know that we celebrate that we really don't have any knowledge or we care to not have any knowledge. You know that we just continue to celebrate. You know, these holidays. You know, just because. You know, and we got to get out of that. You know,
So
we
that
have to.
so
Go ahead.
so that would be something like Independence Day to us.
What's
You
that?
know, Juneteenth.
Yeah, kind of,
Uh,
sort of. You know, a lot of people kind of are on the fence with that, you know, because a lot of people will say Juneteenth is a day that, you know, white Americans passed down or just pretty much gave, you know, to us to be able to celebrate. You know, it's nothing that a day that we actually picked out for ourselves or something
right.
that we actually voted on. You know, it was a
But
day that was
I
given
say
to us
that
by white America,
because
by the
it was
government, I
so
should
many
say.
slaves that didn't even know that they was free.
Right.
So, you know, it's a lot of things that we can go back and look upon and be happy about. You know, the 4th of July probably is one of the things that we should be happy about, but we still got to go and do our research on it so we know really what they did for us to be so happy about.
Right. Yeah, you know, and at the end of the day, man, I'm not saying that it's not a good thing to celebrate because we are Americans, so you know we should have the right to be able to celebrate that. I just wanted to, you know, I just like to come on here and point out the hypocrisy. Wow, my tongue don't get twisted, but you know, I just like to point out the indifferences, you know, you know, that we see throughout America when it comes to, you know, the Black American, I should say, you know, because at
Yeah,
the end of the day, man, you know, Black Americans should be shouted out, you know, because at the end of the day, these people broke away from Britain. They're celebrating the 4th of July, their independence, you know, and I believe it was what 1776, and you know, tens of thousands of African Americans were still enslaved, you know, so that really does not, it doesn't a day like this tomorrow really does not float my boat. I don't really get excited, you know, you have a lot of white Americans that, you know, and they should be excited, you know, they're celebrating their independence, their breakaway from Britain and things like that, you know, but it's kind of a touch and go for Black Americans, you know, because at the end of the day, you know, we still had tens of thousands of enslaved African Americans during these Independence Days that we're talking about, you know, and I'll kind of switch over to, you know, how we're still treated and the unjust and in the race and how this racism still exists and goes on here in America. So are we really as free as we think we are? Do we really have the independence that we think we do? And let's just talk about this situation that's been going on here in America. But the divide and the split, amongst the white race and the black race, man. And we'll start off with this whole Carmelo Anthony situation. That case has definitely divided the country. It's brought out a lot of the white races that that we should have expect to see come out. But give me your thoughts on this, man, on how independence is coming around this year with all the stuff that's been going on with this Carmelo Anthony trial, and then I'll get to what we're getting ready to talk about too, with all these lynchings and hangings that's been going on around the country with African Americans being lynched and hanged, and then it's always coming back as suicides. So just talk about how free do we really, or how independent we really are, with all this racism that's going on throughout the country, with all these lynchings and hangings that's been going on, with black folks.
It's just it's an eye opener to see and hear and listen to the things that's going on amongst black and white people, for sure. Let a lot of ways how they feel about us in the legal system, and how things is probably never going to change until we make a change and just come together as a people and see that when injustices happen, we got to come together, because they already show us that, hey, they will do what they have to do to get the judgment to go their way. You know what I'm saying? So, I just think that black people, we have the internet now, and if you're looking on the internet, everybody is waking up. It's not a black and white thing like they want it to be. I think the world knows now. It's just a matter of time. It's before the rest of the world sees the things that black people went through, and you're not looking for no handouts. You're just looking for the things that everybody else already has.
Yeah, and I'm glad that you said that. Why is it that white America always think that, especially when we get to talking about reparations and things like that, whites will always come back. And I want to read and then I'm gonna read off this comment too. Ryan Anthony said, "Black American, black judge." But why is it that white America? And I kind of almost lost my train of thought on what we were talking about. Wow. But go ahead and finish saying what you were saying, Big Ken. I lost my train of thought. It'll come back in a second.
Okay, it's just easy to see. Like Tupac said, it's all a setup. You got to keep your head up, because if you don't and you keep your head down, you might not be able to see the snakes that's moving through the grass, whatever color they are. But with us as black people, it's obvious, even with this thing with reparations and everything else. It all ties in Independence Day, and what I'm saying by that.
That's what I was getting ready to say. Why is it that white America, when we get to talking about reparations and things like that, why does white America always seem to think that we're wanting handouts, and we're begging for things like that? Go ahead, Big Ken. What you said?
I just want to say this. I just believe that when it comes, now I'm not just saying all white people, the white people that's in charge, they're never gonna admit to anything, because it's after you admit to something, it becomes a payout and a money thing. They don't want to have to pay black people, because at any given time that we are ever even as a people, I think they would be scared of that. Period. Point blank.
No,
and
and I agree
that's
with
just what
you.
it is.
Scooter Man 218 said Mello is guilty, and the video shows it. We have to stop taking up for the blacks that do wrong. I'm gonna have to disagree with you. I think the video shows a young man up under a tent waiting for what the rest of the students and was pretty much attacked and assaulted by this young man, and he defended
It was
himself.
self-defense,
And the
Scooter.
result of him defending himself, that young
Yeah,
man died. I'm not gonna say he was not guilty for his part, but he was just defending himself, but we're just talking about, and Skeeter Man 218, what up though, man? Happy 4th of July to you. We were just talking about Independence Day and what it means to Black America, because when America was given their independence and free from Britain, back in 17, I believe 76, you still had tens of thousands of African Americans that were still enslaved. So Skeeter Man 218, give me your thoughts on that, man. Give me your opinion. The contradictions of white America, man. After signing and declaring their independence, how do you think white America to this day feel? There were still tens of thousands of African Americans that were still enslaved while they celebrated while they celebrated their declarations of proclamation. Excuse me, I'm getting my tongue all twisted, but give me your thoughts on that, Skeeter Man 218. But yeah, Big Ken, but yeah, man, with all these, and we'll switch over to another subject too, conversation. We talked about the whole Carmelo Anthony thing, and we see how that has divided the country, and let's talk about these recent hangings and lynchings that's been going on throughout the country. You had a young woman that went down to Florida to celebrate June 19th, Juneteenth, I should say. Wow. And she was found hung on June 18th. Give me your opinion. Give me your opinion and your thoughts on that, Big Ken. As we come up on the 4th of July and our independence and our freedom. Because all these lynchings and hangings that we've been talking about, man, these people are not committing suicide. And as we know, most blacks can't even tie a goddamn tie, let alone tie loose. So give me your thoughts on this, man.
my thoughts remain the same on that, bro. Like you said, ain't nobody black tying themselves and letting themselves go to hang across nobody's tree. So we already know what that was about. It just goes to say I'm not a racist. I don't think being a black person you can be a racist because we was treated worse than anybody. So the word racist, it would definitely not come from a black person unless it's black on black. And we
Blacks
got
can't
enough of
be
that
racist.
going on.
Blacks as a group doesn't have the power to be able to control or stop anything that whites have going on. So that's what racist really means, meaning that we can't control or anything or stop anything that they're doing, far as just when it comes to economics and things like that. But yeah, man, it's a shame, man, that we're coming up and we're approaching the 4th of July, Independence Day, when we still are seeing young men, and now you're seeing women being hung, in 2020 and 2026. That's the hypocrisy of America, man, of white America, I should say. So and I'm gonna say in this for white folks, any injustice for anyone should be injustice for everyone. And it's just this should just be a reminder, and I'm going to always do my due diligence and talk about things like that, especially over here, man. Like I say, as most of them celebrate Independence Day tomorrow. A lot of them
But
will
you
not
go,
think
let me
about
can I,
what our ancestors went through, where they still were enslaved. Go ahead, Big Ken.
I just want to say why every other race is celebrating their independence. They got to realize where they got their independence from. Through black people going through the slave, uh, all the things that we went through marching and just to get every right. That's independence. We really the reason that everybody else got their independence. Let's talk about that.
Yeah, no, and that's 100%, man. A lot of independence that a lot of people celebrate today, meaning that with the other racial ethnic groups that's here, we've paved the way for them to be able to have their independence, and we still get treated like second or third class citizens here. TGMA Diogenes made a comment. He said, "Hey, love, the fourth in our nation," but I'll say that as OG BW tribal records back to 1500, y'all is all I'll say. Okay. Sorry about the breakup. I don't have my glasses on, so it's kind of hard for me to read and see a lot of these things on the screen. I have to change it over to my big thing. But thanks for the comment. I need for you guys to hit that subscribe button as you come in the door too. But yeah, man, Independence Day to me, and what it and that's what we're talking about, Independence Day and what it means to Black America. Because like I said, they declare their declaration of wow, I'm getting so tongue twisted, but celebrating their independence in 1776, while you still had tens of thousands of African Americans that was enslaved. So we just want to talk about the contradictions of America. And then to this day, as we approach Independence Day tomorrow, you still have you still have blacks and now black men and now black women that's still being lynched and hung here in America. So give me your thoughts on that, TGMA. But Big Ken, what you got on your mind, man? We just and we're gonna just talk about a little bit that's been going on here, with our people here in America, man. We just had some stuff that went on over at what was that at Fairlane Town Center today, man. Talk about that. It was a shooting over there. What have you heard from that situation? And I think I'm gonna find a video and look that up too, and maybe show that.
I really don't have much detail about it. I know I believe two people might have died, and one person is injured real bad. The person that tried to break it up got shot and murdered. So this crime, this black on black crime, and young black people, it's a lot going on. We gotta get a hold of our young people out here, y'all. We gotta get a hold
and
of
it
our
all
young
starts at
people.
home, man. And this is one thing that white America talks about, black on black crime. And I'm not going to say that they don't have white on white crime. They just pretty much the media shows, a lot of our dirt on TV and does not air their dirty laundry out. So for the most part, it's the mainstream media that's going to air out our dirty laundry and put it out there. But, we as a group, as a whole, we have to be able to control ourselves. This was a horrible situation, and I have audio and video that I'm going to find and play and give you guys a little bit more insight of what happened. But yeah, man, we have to, this whole beef shit, man. It has to come to an end, Big Ken. It's ridiculous. And it's all, and it's all stemming. And I'm not going to say it's all stemming from social media, but a lot of this stuff is stemming from this rap culture. So our youth are trying to portray and going out and reacting what they're seeing, on television and with these actors, man. So we have to change the culture, man, and give our youth a whole different mindset, because these were, I think they were minors, and that I can believe in. That the reports that came by, so these were minors who had firearms at the mall, around hundreds of people out there shopping and spending their time getting ready for the 4th of July, man. It's a disgrace. It's a letdown, with our people, and at the end of the day, man, it's a bad look for our people.
Yeah, I just feel like these kids nowadays, they punks and they scared because we grew up fighting. I never once woke up saying, "Let me get my clip and my switch ready for these YNs." I didn't grow up like that. I grew up thinking like, "Hey, if I see my enemy is on sight, and you live to fight another day."
Right.
I just think the parents, they don't have a hold on the kids. Whatever it is, we as a community, we got to get it together because this ain't fair. Kids got to wake up and find their brothers and sisters dead for no reason just because you don't like what somebody said on the internet. We got to do better.
Yeah, see, and reason why I brought up this black on black crime, it was a video that's circulating on social media about I believe it was a white judge he said that the blacks are doing a better job than what the KKK was doing, far as just killing, and murdering blacks. That they don't even have to, get out there and really do what they were doing back in those times when they were lynching, hanging our people. And that speaks a lot of volume, man. And that should wake up, the black community. Because it's true. You have to realize and you have to recognize when certain things are said. That's true, man. We've probably have killed more of our own people than the KKK have. And that's just real talk.
But
I'm not
you,
going to say
but you,
slavery,
but
but what the KK has done, and that speaks a lot of volume for us as a whole.
that's why I speak so much consciousness, bro, because that's really the only thing I feel like we can reach our people and let them know how far we have come. We came a long way to go back to not to go back to killing each other. Shit, we never did this before.
Yeah, because that we never had a culture where we were killing each other.
Yeah.
This shit comes from that
this
rap culture shit, bro.
This some new shit. Even
Yeah, this
in
shit comes
LA when they
from the
had the
beginning of
gang,
the 80s when the rap
you know,
culture, really started. That's where we getting all this, black on black crime from, and then once that crack epidemic hit back in the 80s, combine the two, and it just, changed the whole demographics and the mindset of our people. And what do we have to do, Big Ken, to change the culture, to get out of this mindset that our youth and that our people are in, man, because this
I think
mindset, I don't see anything changing with this mindset that we got, man, in the culture that we're in.
I think it's gonna take exactly what you said. It starts at home, bro. And I think that, once these court systems start taking responsibility on these parents for their teenagers out here committing crimes, things will change, because right now, it's an excuse. You going to work, I'm trying to go to work, and my kid out here. No, you need to know where your kid at while he's supposed to be at school at all times. They got cell phones. I don't think there's no excuses. So
Yeah,
I'm
because
gonna
it's
say
the
that
parents, man. It's the parents. I can't
it's
blame
the
it on
parents.
nothing else other than the parents. It starts with at home training. And you can see, man, I just did a report, with these cruise ships, and you can, and most of these people are parents. I don't know if you're familiar with all with these what's the cruise lines, with these major cruise lines. It'll come to Carnival Cruise. Every time a Carnival Cruise take off, it's always a big a mass fighting amongst blacks, and it's almost to the point, man, where it's a disgrace. It's a not a good look on on the black family, I should say, or not even the black family, but just the black race in general. And this goes back to what we were just talking about with the home training with our children with this black on black crime, man. Every time you see one of these Carnival cruise ships take off, it's involved with nothing but black folks in bras. Give me your thoughts and your opinion on that, man. I just recently talked about that last week. You had one of the Carnival cruises that took off,
I'm
and it was a big brawl, and it was all involving blacks.
I'm gonna say this, bro. Um, Me and about 15 family members went on a cruise. It was whites, blacks, and all type of races. And there was no fights and there was no shit like that going on. See, I don't know if these people meeting up with each other on the cruise or what, but it's weird, bro. That's the only thing I'm gonna say, because how you go on vacation and get the brawl?
Yeah, I said those exact same words, but Ken, I said we should get enough of that being on land, brawling with each other.
I ain't, I can't claim that. That might be some shit that they met up and they wasn't supposed to meet up type shit. I don't know. It just don't sound
Nah,
like.
this is probably about the fourth or fifth incident. Probably, I'm not going to say this year, but I can count on my both hands last year. And the cruise season has just really started this year, and I can give you about 3 incidents already this year where you have nothing but blacks involved in these brawls. You know, so it's always
Yeah,
seeming like every time it's a brawl on one of these cruise
that's
ships,
weird.
you know, it's evolving our people, man. You know, so at the end of the day, man, it's not a good look for our people. These cruise liners, these ships are going to make it to the point where they're not going to be handing out invitations to blacks anymore. They're going to make it to the point where we're not going to be allowed on these boats, man. You know, it's like we can't behave ourselves. You know, probably what they're going to probably do is stop serving liquor to blacks on these boats, you know, because a lot of people, when I did that short, you know, a lot of people said it's probably the liquor that's that involves, you know, a lot of the confrontation, you know, but
Hey,
why is it
bro.
just us who only who can't
Hey,
handle our liquor on these cruise ships?
hey, that's a whole nother show, bro. Because the first indigenous people was black people. They were talking about Indians can't control their liquor, but they was talking about us. Yeah,
Yeah.
we
Yeah,
was
you
the
know, but
first
like I
Indians.
said, man, you know, and I know whites get into brawls. I know they can't handle their liquor neither, but it's always our people that showed on the mainstream media with these brawls, you know, and just always not seem to be able to, you know, control themselves, you know, in cruise ship environments and things like that, man. You know, it's not a good look. And you know, how can we talk and try to teach our children, you know, the right things and how to get along and try to have what's the word that I'm looking for? I forgot my train of thought, but try to teach our children to have you know non-conflict amongst each other, you know, but we get on these cruise ships and boats and you see nothing but adults, you know, out here fighting, you know what I mean? So it's crazy, man. So, you know, we have to do a better job, you know, on these cruise ships and boats and set better examples, you know, for our children, you know, because pretty much, man, you know, that's what these youths are doing. They're acting out and reacting what they're seeing, you know, most of these adults doing, you know, so we have to change the culture, the mindset. And I had a show about this, man. We really have to get our kids out of this rap culture, you know, because that's what they're portraying and they're acting out is this whole rap culture bullshit.
You remember in Bobia Junior High School when Dr. Oden wouldn't let them play "Fuck the Police"? You might you wasn't there, but when I was
Uh,
in junior high school
uh,
for it was like a junior prom, and they wanted to play "Fuck the Police," and they couldn't even get the music out. Dr. Oden was in there like the record scratched and everything, and everybody was hyped up. So what I
right.
basically I'm saying is you right that that type of music promote violence. So Young
We
Miami.
can narrow it
Let's
down
talk
to
Young Miami. Where all my scamming
listen.
niggas at. You see, that's
Yeah, where
behavior
my
that we don't need.
scamming is at. Listen, I guarantee you the stealing rate and the crime rate of stealing and scammers is getting ready to go up from that song alone. You know, but man, listen, we can narrow it down to where our people started failing and started this black on black crime. It started with in the 80s with this gangster rap. You know, because at one point in time, man, we were conscious. It was nothing but conscious rap, positive rap out there. That's
Yeah,
where we went wrong, accepting this gangster rap bullshit.
right.
Yep.
I
So,
grew
you
up.
know, so at
I
the end of the
grew
day,
up to
man, I try not to,
cussing rap. Really.
yeah, you know, and that's what have affected our whole culture is this rap shit, you know, and
Yeah.
when you talk about things like that, the rap community gets upset and get mad. You know, it's not like we're trying to fuck with their money. We're just trying to keep it real and just trying to keep some type of dignity and grace in our within our youth and within our culture, within our people. You know, because like I said, at the end of the day, in my opinion, this whole gangster rap, drill rap shit has destroyed the black race, the black community, and the mindset of our children, you know, and most of our adults too, you know, because we
Yeah.
grew up on this shit. I'm 50 years old. So, you know, gangster rap started back in the 80s, you know. So,
But it
you
was
know,
you gotta admit that when we first started hearing cussing and full sentences and shit, it was a shock to us. Like, did you hear what they just said?
yeah, yeah,
Now that shit is normal.
Yeah, it was unheard of, to even be out in public cursing, and things
Yeah.
like that. Now, a lot of these youths are cussing in front of their parents and things like that. Or most youths don't even have the respect to not even curse in front of adults. What up, though, Mr. James Saunders? We knocking on that 1K. We are less than 70 subscribers away, James. Yeah, how you doing today? It's been a long time, bro. Thought you I didn't know what happened to you. I'm glad to see you still around, man. Yeah, but we just sitting here talking about Independence Day, man, and what it means to Black America, and what it means to white America also too. But yeah, Big Ken, that's the button. We can narrow it down right there, man, to the rap culture. The rap culture has definitely changed the mindset of most blacks, and it's definitely has changed the mindset of our youth. Because that's all we see is our youth trying to react and just trying to, replay the lifestyle of these entertainers, pretty much.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yep. So
It's
imagine how many young sisters getting ready to be locked up from that Young Miami song out at the mall trying to steal and things like that. Imagine how many motherfuckers she about to have locked up with that influence
her
with that
message
song.
at the end of the song, she say, if you ain't getting no money, kill yourself.
Wow. So yeah, man, at the end of the day, that's what it is. This rap culture, we have to come up with some type of solution. I know we're not going to give it up. I know we're not going to eliminate it, from our culture, but is it time to bring back positive rap? In R&B, I think R&B needs to, even with some of the R&B, we need to, change some of the messages to these songs. Because really R&B is pretty much promoting the same thing as this rap is, nothing but sex and pretty much violence to our youth.
Yeah, the R&B music is now the R&B music. It ain't the same what we grew up to. They promoting homosexuality. They promoting threesomes. They promoting all that shit. We didn't grow up to that.
Yeah, exactly. And we have to realize that all this, everything that you just named that they're promoting, who is it affecting?
Our kids.
Exactly. The next generation to come up. So imagine 20 years from now, because it's already crazy now, but imagine what the mindset, I'll even say 10 years from now that the youth will have, from this media, from listening to this music, and just things like that, so it's going to be crazy, man. So we have to get ahead of this, and just come up with some type of solution, man, for our youth. Because the solution that we have right now, the culture and the mindset is just only going to get worse, in my opinion.
In my opinion, America is like Babylon. Anything goes.
No, that's a fact. That's a fact.
You
So
come here and be however you. If you got money, you could be. If you got money, you can be whoever you want to be here. You could be the biggest asshole, the biggest whatever. As long as you got money, you don't have to be godly. You don't have to be good. You don't have to be. You could be a Satanist, whatever you want to be. As long as you got money, America
that
don't
almost
care.
sound like Trump.
Hello. Hey.
Yeah. But no, man, at the end of the day, man, we got to get ahead of these things. We have to be able to get our youth back on building, and we have to, and it starts at home. It starts with the adults. We have to show and prove. We have to get back to wanting to be able to build and things like that, because what this culture, what this rap culture is doing is destroying the mindsets. It's not wanting to it's not talking, or it's not putting anything in their mindsets to want to be able to build, want to be able to be successful, and go on to be productive young men and women. Only thing this shit promotes is violence and more prison to pipeline to prison situations. You know what I mean? more of our
You know,
people going to these prisons, that these industrial prisons that they got set up. And that's crazy that we talked about that not too long ago, that the prison system sued the government because they were not producing enough
enough
inmates to feed
prisoners.
the system.
The contract that they had.
Yeah.
You know what? Let me run this by you, bro. It was some said a while ago that they said, what if America said we're gonna give each household $100,000 a year for a family. I don't know what a family would be considered, 3 kids at least, to send their kids home. I'm sorry, to homeschool their kids, feed their kids, give them the proper time and rest that they need to be productive, and homeschool them in college and everything. But I believe that the parents will have to be educated. I think that could be a plan for a lot of stuff that's going on. Now, you are responsible because you teaching your kid and the government is paying you to go to school and be a responsible person and teach your kid. I don't know. I think that might work. It's far-fetched because this government we got, even though we the richest people, we got the richest resources on the planet. Will they do that for everybody?
Right. Well, hey, listen, any plan that is better than the plan that we got in hand right now. I'm gonna read a few comments. James Saunders said, why are they celebrating 250 years? 250 years of what? Nothing has changed, and this country still has never been great. I agree 100%, James. Nothing has changed. Before you came in the comments, James, we talked about how America is celebrating their independence, and they declared it in 1776, I believe, when you still had tens of thousands of African Americans that was enslaved until 1865. So I agree exactly on what you're saying. Nothing has
No doubt.
changed, at all. And
Yeah,
Connor,
let me
Connor Y5D said, "What up, though? What up, though, Connor? It's been a long time, bro. Hope you guys hitting that subscribe button. Your boy is bearing down. We are, like I said, less than 70 subscribers away from 1K. It's a goal that your boy
can I say
has
this,
set
bro?
up on 2 years ago, and we are there. So I want to thank everybody who has difficulties. Okay, there we go. But yeah, I want to thank everybody who has hit that subscribe button thus far. It's definitely has helped your boy with all my goals and my compliments that I'm trying to do over here on YouTube. So I want to thank everybody and everybody that's over there watching on Facebook. Please come over to YouTube, hit that subscribe button, then you can go back over to Facebook. But yeah, Big Ken, so what do you got planned for your Independence Day, your 4th
that
of July?
last comment, bro? Can I piggyback off that last comment? I've always said this, I just feel like the president said how he felt in a nutshell. He said he wanted to make America great again. And I always said this. I'm like, when was the last time America was great again for anybody other than white people? And the last time America was great for white people was when they had slaves. There is never going to be a better time for any person on this planet. If I had 10 people going to work for me every day, that's going to be the last time America was great for me. You see what I'm saying? Because I'm sitting on my ass and
I'm going to say
slaves.
another thing too. And I'm glad you brought that up. Another thing that can make America great again, and that probably will be a win-win situation for both sides. Segregation. Most whites probably didn't agree with that. So if we can go back to being segregated and just coming together doing business, I think that'll do. I think that'll just do just fine amongst everyone. I think that'll make everyone happy. We don't have to, live around each other, but we can get along and we can work together and things like that. So I think we might want to think about, being segregated again, because I think at one point, really, I'm gonna be honest, to make America great again, would be by segregation, because that's when blacks were at their best. So why wouldn't white America want blacks to be able to succeed, and get back to building to what what we are doing, Black Wall Street.
But
That we were segregated. We didn't have pretty much we didn't have to ask the government, or we didn't have to ask white America for anything. We had our own banks. We did our own thing, and we were perfectly just fine getting along. Being segregated. You know what I mean? So if we can go back to that, I think that'll be a win-win for both sides. Because I'll be honest, and white people just need to be honest too. It's really not blacks that don't want to coexist or get along with whites. It's most whites who do not want to live or coexist with blacks. And that's just my honest opinion is what I've saw thus far of my 50 years on this planet. I think most black folks don't have a problem with whites. I think most whites have been brainwashed by their ancestors to think, negative about us, or to think this way that they think about us, without actually, getting to know, blacks as a person or as a whole. Because at one point in time, man, like I said, we didn't depend on white America for anything. We did our own thing. We had our own banks. We had our own businesses, and I think everything was great for Black America. So, I think that's what we should go back to, is making Black America great again. And I think that will benefit both sides. What do you think about that, Big Hen?
it's one of them catch-22 type things, because it's one of those type of things where it's a catch-22 to me, because if we gonna do that, we gonna need some money. If we gonna segregate, if y'all gonna separate, and we gonna separate, make everything even. Give us loans so we can start our businesses. Fuck it, give us our reparations so we can do this shit the right way. And then the playing field will be even. Right now, I don't think if we segregated, it wouldn't. The playing field wouldn't be even. We need money for it to be even. So that's what I feel about that. Like right now, we only
and I'm glad you said that too, because I think most whites, that's what they fear. Most white, you kind of breaking up too, Big Ken, but I'm glad you brought that up. That's what most whites fear. That one day things will be on an even playing field. And they won't be able to reap the benefits that they've been reaping since the end of slavery, and during slavery time, I should say. So, but yeah, I think that should be multiple conversations and talks that we need to have, amongst, Black and white America. Is, maybe that should be a great thing, and I think that will be a great thing for America, making America great again, is by blacks and whites desegregating themselves, and just getting back to, blacks getting back to building.
Yeah,
because we have a lot. We have so many distractions going on, amongst the Black community. How can we even get to trying to build, with all this distraction?
No, I mean, what you saying is a good idea, but I'm gonna say this: give us reparations. The shit that we fighting for right now. Give us reparations. The shit that we fighting for right now, and then we could talk about separating, because the playing field will be even. Like shit, let's talk about that, and then we could talk about separating, and then Black people come together. But right now, it's too many. America is 60% European, 14% Black. That could never work. It wouldn't have worked for us. So if they're gonna make the playing field even, and they denied us reparations, America said no, they didn't feel that it was the biggest travesty amongst human beings being enslaved as Black people. They didn't agree with that. I said that they know better, and they should have agreed to that, because we are the reason that America is what America is today. And they know that everything that's being built, from the cars to the phones to the fucking planes, they know it's all from us. We only thing we want is an even playing field. Give us our fucking reparations, and then if you want to separate, then we'll see who's who after that.
Yeah, I agree 100%. What you talk on the things that you just said, Big Ken. But at the end of the day, man, we're gonna have to, versus asking, we're gonna have to start at some point. We're gonna have to start taking things into our own hand. Coming up with our own reparation money.
I mean, I get it.
If
I'm
we
just saying. I just had to say that, bro,
can't
just to say
force
like
the government
for
to
for
be able to come up
no,
with this reparation money. So
yeah.
and a lot of that starts with drawing our money from a lot of these. And I don't know if you just heard me, you were breaking up. Look, hey, Vic, and you doing a lot of buffering, but a lot of this starts with us taking the power back into our own hands, like how we're doing with a lot of this boycotting that we've been doing with these Asian businesses and and other businesses that's non-black. I believe if I'm not mistaken, like damn near 400 Asian businesses has been shut down through through this whole boycott situation. So that means a lot of that money has been going black into the hands of black businesses. And that's how you start. You know what I mean? That's how you can start with trying to rebuild your own community by not continuing to pour money into other ethnics, or other races, businesses, and stop doing that and start pouring your money into black-owned businesses. And then not only that, start coming up with your own businesses and create businesses. Therefore, more people can, more black businesses can get started, and more black folks can, help these black businesses prosper. Because that's the problem, man. We spend too much of our, economic resources with other races, and then not spending with our race and trying to build up businesses from the ground up, and it starts from there, man. It starts
Can I
from
say this,
us
bro?
supporting our own black businesses. Go ahead.
Can I say this?
Go
Can
ahead.
I say this? It's a lot of smart, intelligent black people out here. I just need for them to step up and say what's on their mind, and let's come up with some resources to come up with our own shit, y'all. We too smart, and we can't keep on going for the banana in the tailpipe. I'm not trying to make it a racist thing, but when you see, other races in our own community thriving, we have to go to the store, and it's not our people. That should be a wake up call for us. There ain't nothing wrong with that, but we need to be having stores in our own community. We need to police our own people. We need to do our own thing. You know what I'm saying? Like
Yeah,
Heavy D said,
and
we
not to
need to do
cut you
our
off,
own
him, because
thing.
let me tell you this. Because these other races that we're talking about, I was just out in Dearborn a week ago. I was working with brother-in-law, and guess what I saw out in the community, the city of Dearborn? Nothing but Arabs and Arabs and Chaldeans. They controlled their own community. You didn't see any black businesses. You didn't see any Chinese stores. You didn't see any liquor stores out there. These were $100,000 homes or more, $1 million homes or more. And it just awed me. I'm like, wow, this money is coming from the black community. Out in Dearborn, I'll say over 60% of that money has come from the black communities, and they've taken it out there to Dearborn, and that community out there is thriving. And this money, most of that money, like I said, has come from, the inner cities, in the hoods. So we've allowed for, for most of these businesses to come in our community, and the government has a hand to play in that too. They've allowed, for these foreigners, for a lot of these, people that's non-black to come in the community, start business and prosper. So we have to take, and that's why I say we have to take our own destiny into our own hands by, not supporting these businesses. And when we shut these certain businesses ready, with the business mindset to be able to replace these businesses that we shut down. You know what, Big Hen? So look, man, I don't know if you heard everything I just said, but we got a lot
Yeah,
of buffering.
I
So
definitely
I'm not
heard you.
gonna go
I
on too long.
definitely
But
heard
yeah,
you.
man, like I said, the city of Dearborn is thriving. It's filled with, non-race, other races other than black, and these are the people that's in the black community, taking the money out of the black community and taking it back to Dearborn. And then not only that, they're sending a lot of the money back home to where they're originally from. So like I said, at the end of the day, man, we have to be able to not support these businesses, shut them down, and then in the place of that shutdown, we have to have a black business-minded people ready to reopen that business that they shut down, to control our own destiny, and change the mindset of our people. That's it. We have to do the same thing that we've watched other races come in our community and do.
Yeah.
Yep. So look, Big Ken, give everybody your last words, man. Let everybody know what you got going on and where they can reach you.
You can reach me on the What Up Though show on Freestyle Fridays. I just want to say, this is not about being racist. It's really about being conscious and letting my people know that we got to make a change amongst ourselves. We got to stop letting them police us, stop letting them police our minds, feeding us nonsense with different religions and things that's keeping us trapped and not waking us up at 5 o'clock in the morning trying to start a business, y'all. We got to figure this shit out because you're not going to get ahead for working for nobody else. You might think that working for Chrysler and Ford and GM, yeah, that's all fine, but you still making somebody else rich. Think about that.
No, I agree with you 100%, man. At the end of the day, we are our own worst enemy, man. It starts with us. Like I said, I was out in the city of Dearborn, and I was just in awe, just looking at the houses, at the businesses. That community is thriving, and it's thriving full of people that do not look like us. And these people set their businesses up in the black community. And they make millions, off of our people, and they go back to Dearborn, build these communities. Our people are living like third world countries, living in poverty, so at the end of the day, man, it's up to us to want to make a change. At the end of the day, at the end of the day, it's up to us to going to be able to make a change. At the end of the day, we have to want to do this. We have to be able to have black businesses set up, in line waiting for these businesses to shut down, man. We have to get back into a business mind state, and just take the community back, man, because like I said, we've allowed other races, other businesses to come in our communities and prosper, and take the money out the community. And these people go on to like I said, to prosper and to go on to be great business, and to go on to be able to support their families, I should say, so, and they're taking money out of our family. So at the end of the day, man, it's up to us to be able to change the mindset, and it's going to start with this rap culture, man. We have to get our children out of this mind state, out of this thinking that they with this beef and shit, with the whole thing with what happened out at Fairlane, man. We look, we've so wrapped up in this whole beefing culture, this rap bullshit, to the point where it's took the whole community down a notch. And I'm just going to be honest, man, like far as with our morals, so we have to get back to the basics, get back to just, morals, because at the end of the day, man, a lot of our people don't have morals. We don't use our common sense. We allow too much distraction that's going on amongst ourselves. That's why we're not building amongst each other. That's why we have so much hatred, amongst each other, because we've been pretty much what this rap culture is doing is training us to hate each other. And if we don't realize that shit, it's gonna be too late. You know, so look, at the end of the day, man, I want to thank you again, Big Ken. Again, give me your last words, man, on this whole, you know, Independence Day, and we're gonna go ahead and end the show.
I just want to say happy Independence Day to everybody out there. I don't want to take nobody's joy from them, white, black, Puerto Rican, or Jew. But, you know, I'm going to say this. Black people can't be racist because we created all races. So, you know, I'm going to leave everybody with that food for thought. Let's go.
Okay, well, look, I want to thank everybody who made comments. Wow, let me go back up here. Sorry about that. No, but yeah, I want to thank everybody who made comments today. You know, I want to thank you, Big Ken. It's always a good show when you come on here and get your thoughts and your input on the show. You know, but you know, Independence Day, man, I have no problem with that. You know, I just want to, you know, come on here for a second and talk about the hypocrisy, you know, of white America, you know, in Independence Day, you know, when they were celebrating their independence, you know, we still had tens of thousands of slaves that were still enslaved. So, you know, we have to come on here, you know, and remind our people of certain holidays that we celebrate, you know, things like that, you know. But at the end of the day, man, look, it was a good show, and we're definitely going to come back and have another conversation about a few things that we talked about. But look, man, I don't have anything else to add. It's another one. It's your boy Dan D, and we are out. Peace.
Peace.